What up, y'all? Welcome to the YouTube channel, Real Advantage Productions. I go by Paz B. Two great things about me: I'm a cool guy, number one. Number two, I stand by what I say. I try to do what I say I'm going to do. Dependable. I'm a dependable dude. That's number two. Like I said, I'm Paz B. This is Real Advantage Productions. And I got something I want to talk to y'all about today. Let's get into it. I want to talk about Dame Dash. You guys know who Dame Dash is? He recently did a interview on the Art of Dialogue. He's talking about his his money situation. There's a lot of rumors going on about Dame Dash being broke, and I guess he wanted to put his spin on it. I guess he wanted to talk about that, about how broke he is. Yeah, I'm not sure. A lot of people know who Dame Dash is. If you don't know who Dame Dash is, I guess this ain't for you. But Dame Dash was the guy. So Dame Dash was definitely a multimillionaire, co-owner of Rockefeller Records. Basically at the height. He started it with Jay-Z, and all the way up to the height of Jay-Z, when he was the most popular, most successful, selling the most records. So definitely he was a multimillionaire. At that time, he was also doing the films. He did a couple of films, making money off of that. Also had Rockefeller had their own clothing line. Rockaware had their own clothing line at one time at the height of Jay-Z, and he was making money off of that. They say when he sold Rockaware, sold his stake in Rockaware, there's reports that say he made up to $25 million. Reports that say that. So anyway, at the end of the day, he was a multi-millionaire, very successful millionaire, a couple of times over. Not 1 million, but yeah, multi-millionaire. Right now, if you go on Celebrity Net Worth, they say that Dame Dash is worth about 100,000. Celebrity Net Worth has him at about 100,000. There's a couple of different ways you can take that. Some people can say that's not a lot. Some people but I don't know if you call that broke. I don't know if you have the net worth of 100,000 means you're broke. I tell you right now, I do not have a net worth of 100,000, but still at the same time, it does make you scratch your head. All those millions and millions and millions of dollars he had, in the early 2000s, now you're down to 100,000. It makes me scratch my head because I think my parents are worth more than 100,000. 100,000. If you own your home, if you're a homeowner and you own your house, there's not too many houses in 2025 you can have for less than 100,000. There's not too many houses you can have for 100,000. Most houses now you're paying 200,000. You know what I mean? At least 170,000, something like that, to have a decent home. So my parents are homeowners. They're retired. They own their house. They're not paying for it. They own their house. Their house, my parents' house, is worth about 280,000. So I'd say my parents probably have a net worth about 300,000 because they have stocks and they have money, cars and stuff like that. But so yeah, my parents can be worth 300,000. They're not doctors, they're not lawyers, they're very ordinary blue collared working class people. My parents never had a year in my life. My parents never had a year they made $100,000 in a single year. So like I said, they're very hardworking, regular people. So my parents, being regular people, have a net worth of 300,000. Dame Dash, who was a multi-millionaire, has a net worth for just 100,000. So that makes you scratch your head. But like I said, me myself talk to you right now, I don't have a net worth of 100,000 just because I don't own a home. Currently, I don't own a home. I stay in an apartment. So my net worth is a lot less, basically just whatever I make on my paychecks or whatever. You know what I mean? But so I don't know. I mean, if you have a net worth, you tell me, what do you think? If at any time you can sell something and get $100,000, does that mean you're broke? The interview he did, very recent interview with the Art of Dialogue, he said that, he had some lawsuits, he had some child support payments, and he had to take care of that. Said he owed the government taxes, And he said, I think he said he owes the government like 20 million in taxes. And of course, he came back. He wanted to stun a little bit. He's like, well, if you owe the government 20 million in taxes, you have to make a certain amount of money to owe somebody 20 million in taxes. And I think the way it is he's probably at the height of the tax bracket. That's about 50%. So if you owe 20 million, that means you would have had to make at least 40 million to owe that much money. But he talked about that. He talked about some lawsuits he had. But he was studying a little bit. He was saying that he was doing okay, in my opinion. Basically he was trying to put it out there that he's not in a homeless shelter. He's not in all this sort of stuff. He did the interview on a ranch, said a ranch that he owns. I believe he said he had 25 acres of land. And he said this is one of his homes. So he has multiple homes. Said he'll stay in this home for a couple of weeks and then he'll go to another house. Another thing that was interesting about the interview, Dane was saying, he kept saying my family. He kept saying that, well, what I do nowadays is I run the business, I run my family business. And he kept saying, I don't own this. It's in my family's name. And basically, like I said before, he owes a lot of people money, people trying to get paid. And so basically the way I took the interview was everything he owned, he gave away to his children or, to his family, whatever. And that's why all throughout the interview, he's saying, well, this is my family's house. I'm just living with my family. And, all I do is manage the family business and blah, blah, blah. So he was kind of saying it like that. So basically, and I think, OJ Simpson, I believe, did the same thing. Everybody knows OJ Simpson case, and he beat the murder case and he beat the case, but there was also a civil trial, and OJ lost the civil trial, and that was like 30 million or 40 million or however much it was. The family of Nicole Simpson never collected that money because OJ pretty much gave all his stuff to his children, and that way they couldn't collect the money. OJ said, I don't own anything. It's all in, my kids have it. I don't own anything, and they couldn't collect that money. And OJ lived like a rich person for the rest of his life, basically, until he died.